This season of Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast, is made possible by incredible sponsors, the City of Vista and Vista Unified School District. As valued chamber stakeholders, both the city and the school district work hand in hand with us to strengthen our community, supporting local businesses, workforce development, and opportunities for student and families right here in Vista. We're proud to partner with them in building a vibrant, connected Vista. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Beld, Vista Chamber CEO, and it's my honor and privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting our amazing Vista community and beyond. Today's podcast looks a little different. I'm here today with an Ask Me Anything episode of the Velocity podcast. I've received questions from all different kinds of folks with questions about Vista, rumors in Vista, things to do in Vista. Why does Vista do this, XYZ? So I'm looking forward to diving into your questions. I haven't actually read them all in advance, so you're going to get some live reactions to some of these questions. And I'm hoping that I can shed a light on some of the things you've been wondering. To start our questions, I'm going to begin with the question that I'm asked the most by the most people everywhere, online, in person. I'm at the store, checking out at the grocery store, and people ask me, what is going on with Black Bear Diner? When is Black Bear Diner going to open? The answer is, I don't know when Black Bear Diner will open. What has been going on is construction delays. No, the delays are not the responsibility of the city. It doesn't have anything to do with permitting or delays in approvals or anything like that. It has to do with contractor delays and owner delays and difficulties in those areas. The last I heard, Black Bear Diner is expected to open in the first quarter of 2026. I'm optimistic and hopeful, and we look forward to welcoming Black Diner when they finally do open. That's the scoop on Black Bear. The next big question that I get asked often is about Pepper Tree Frosty and the Pepper Tree Frosty development. We've talked a bit about that before on our social media, on the Chamber social media, but a few of the rumors around that is that the Villasenor family is selling their property. That is not true. The Villasenor family will maintain their ownership of the property. They're involved in the development, and in fact, they are working very closely with the developer on the future project that will happen there. The timeline, we don't have an exact timeline with regard to when the development will begin and when you'll start to see, dirt moving. The development is reliant on market conditions, which at this time are a little bit interesting, and the project is moving forward, but there is not a set timeline for any kind of construction to begin. The project does include a space for Pepper Tree Frosty to continue to serve up their tasty treats. And there are 3 other retail locations included in the project, which could include some of the businesses that are already on the parcel. It's up to those businesses if they'd like to do that or not. So only time will tell if the future project will include the flower shop or any of the other businesses there. But that's up to those individual businesses and the property owner to determine that. But there was a plan for retail options in the project as it was designed. If I were a guessing person, I would say we probably won't see groundbreaking on any of that for 12 months. That would be my guess. But I definitely don't have a crystal ball. Let's see. One of the questions that was sent in is, what is a hidden gem in Vista that I think everyone should know about? And it also is the same answer to a question that I received, what is my favorite memory of Vista? And this is connected because I was married at the Rancho Buena Vista Adobe, married my husband Brian there over 18 years ago at the Rancho Buena Vista Adobe. It, in my opinion, is Vista's absolute hidden gem. It's a home property. It was the original land grant that became the city of Vista. All of the land around here was part of that original Adobe, and the city took ownership of it I think about 30-ish years ago, and turned it into a city property where students go to learn about history, where they do candle dipping and leather tooling. School groups come through, and each room of the home is decorated historically to reflect different periods of time that the adobe was a working ranch and a working home. One of the coolest things about the adobe, well, there's a lot of cool things about it. The home, the property, the plants, vegetation there, but it was owned by a silent screen movie star, and her name was Margarita Fisher Pollard, and I love her story. You may not know that Margarita Fisher Pollard is in a mural in downtown Vista. There's a beautiful mural of her. If you are ever in downtown and you're over near the Broadway Theater on the backside there in that area, you'll see the mural of Margarita Fisher Pollard. And I love her story. And if you ever get a chance to tour the adobe, check out the bathroom, because the bathroom is decorated in honor of her, because she upgraded as a beautiful Hollywood star. She needed a great bathroom and a place to get ready. And she upgraded that space with beautiful Spanish tiles and a lot of modern amenities at that time. The big tree at the Rancho Buena Vista adobe was given to her by Joan Crawford. So that's kind of a cool thing. But the Rancho Buena Vista adobe is my hidden gem, and it's also my favorite memory because it was my wedding day, and it was wonderful and beautiful, and people host weddings there still today. It's located there on Alta Vista Drive, just across from City Hall. So there's the answer to that one. Another question that I received are, what are 3 things to do for fun in Vista? And we have way more than 3 things. So it's really hard to narrow it down to 3, but I'm going to honor the question. And I'm going to say that three things to do in Vista. The first would be absolutely check out a musical at the Moonlight Amphitheater. Watching a musical with incredible talent, music, staging, lighting, all of it. It's just professional quality, off the charts. And sitting in the beautiful Vista weather on a summer evening watching a moonlight show is a top-notch experience. It's for all ages, families, adults. Make it a date night. It's definitely one of my most favorite things to do in Vista. Another really fun thing to do in Vista, we have so many craft breweries and craft beverage options, wineries, distilleries, and breweries. You can actually absolutely have a great day enjoying our various breweries and wineries and distilleries, and just taking a day of hopping and tasting. And that would be a really fun thing. That's a really fun thing to do in Vista. A third thing to do in Vista is to enjoy our parks. We have so many really cool parks. We over at Bringle Terrace Park in particular, there's a disc golf option. You could play disc golf there in Bringle Terrace Park. Playgrounds, all of our parks are really great. And we have some really great trails that connect those parks. And so I would encourage anybody to get out and enjoy Vista's amazing parks. You can get all that information about the parks in the show notes here. I'll link a map to all of the cool parks as well. So those would be my three recommendations. There are so many things you can do in Vista for fun. Okay, this one's a little bit maybe controversial, but I did get a question about, why is Vista building so many apartments? Is the city pushing apartments? Is the city trying to push other businesses out to build apartments? No, the city is not pushing out anybody to build apartments. All of the apartment projects that are coming through are, I wouldn't say all, but 99% of them, most of them are on private property. And so private property owners have a right to develop their property as they would like, within legal limits, of course. And the state has laws in place that override a lot of local control with regard to the rules and regulations for housing. And so if housing is built in specific areas on large commercial corridors or near public transit, then there are different rules mandated by the state that allow developers to build multifamily housing projects that are multiple stories or have different density or lower parking requirements. And all of that is really decided at the state level. And the city, while the city, of course, they want to see more housing because we do need housing, I think that most of the planning commissioners and city council would agree that that we would like to have, that control here locally. But sometimes the projects have to move forward because legally they're allowed. And so what's really great about Vista is that our leadership in the city and here at the chamber, and when we work with developers to help bridge those gaps, people who are doing projects in Vista, most of the time, they really want to put together a good project and they want it to be a successful project that fits within our community. And so oftentimes they might make changes to make it more palatable for the community. But overall, California needs housing. We need more affordable housing for people. And I don't mean affordable in a legal sense where it's a legal definition of where you have to apply and things like that, but just housing that people can afford to pay for on salaries that they make. So, it's a complicated issue. And, the chamber has weighed in at the state level with regard to different laws and policies that are going into place and weighing in and saying that, communities should have the ability to regulate what they would like in their areas. When you have zoning that allows for mixed use development or commercial development, there's really, based on the state rules, there are very few tools that the city can use to push back on a project if it meets those state requirements. And because we need housing and because developers will build housing and it will fill up immediately, there's really, if the market will bear it, developers are encouraged to build housing because they know that it will be used, it'll be utilized, and they can make their money back on the investment in the project. Some of the commercial spaces, or if you have vacancies, that's money that's lost. And so with housing, there's no, as long as there are people waiting to get into apartments, townhomes, condos, or single family homes, there continues to be a demand and there's less risk for developers to build those types of projects. So that's my thought on that. A huge thank you to our ELF sponsor, Children's Paradise. In addition to supporting the parade, the Children's Paradise crew will be bringing the fun with crafts and activities for kids on Main Street near the gazebo. Stop by, say hi, and make some holiday magic with Children's Paradise during the Vista Christmas Parade on December 6th. This year's 67th annual Vista Christmas Parade is proudly presented by North County Ford. Big thanks to the team at North County Ford for their continued support of our community. Be sure to check out a few of their cool new cars on display near the judge's tent in front of Sinopolis on Parade Day. Thank you, North County Ford, for helping us keep this beloved Vista tradition rolling. One of the questions that I receive the most from people is whether the chamber is part of city government. We are not. We are not part of city government. We are a separate nonprofit organization that works closely with the city, works closely with businesses. I like to say we're government adjacent. We're not the city, and we partner with the city, but we also can push back on the city if we have feedback or input. And so we're not the city. We're a nonprofit organization. People ask often, how are we funded? And we basically are funded through kind of 4 buckets. Those buckets, membership, we're a membership organization. And our membership dues help us to operate and to serve our members and give our businesses the services that they need. We also host a few events that are that help our operating costs. We also apply for and receive some grant funding for certain programs and services. And lastly, we have some contracts for services where we provide programs or services for other organizations, or they contract with us to do specific work. So those are the 4 ways that the chamber is funded. We do not receive any tax dollars. We do not receive funding from the city other than in very specific areas that are outlined as specific areas of support. For example, the city supports the parade, and so that's one area. But that's the biggest misconception about the chamber and our funding sources. One person asked, what is something that the chamber does and I'm really proud of? And I have two answers to that, and they're both involving youth. The first is our Rising Star Student of the Month program. I'm super proud of that program. I didn't invent it. I didn't start it. My predecessor started that program, but I'm really proud of it and where we've taken it. And that is where each month we recognize and honor one high school senior from each of our local high schools and recognize them and celebrate them for their achievements. And these are students that are not always our valedictorian 4.0 kiddos. They are students who continue to prioritize their education despite unbelievable circumstances. And it's a real honor to get to celebrate those types of students and those kiddos who are really resilient and they're true rising stars. I'm really proud to say that it's also a scholarship program. And last year we were able to give out $61,000 in scholarships to 34 students who were rising stars of the year. And that's really a special accomplishment and something I'm really, really proud of. As someone who was a first generation college student, many of our Rising Star students are also first gen, and I understand where they're coming from. I understand their struggles because if you don't have the experience of navigating those systems, you don't know what you don't know. And so being a support to them is really important. The other thing I'm really proud of is our Velocity internship program, our summer internship program, where we pay high school students who are rising seniors for 100 hours of work in the summer months. We match them with businesses that match their career interest and have them have that career exploration experience in the summer months. So I'm really proud of that program. And I'm proud to say that about 25% of those students have some sort of ongoing employment or engagement with the company after they complete their internship. So I'm really proud of that program. And both of those support our future workforce, which is a huge need as people grow up. Now, on a national level, 80% of people live within 100 miles of where they grew up. So the students that live in Vista now are very likely to be our business and civic and community leaders of tomorrow. And I'm so thankful that we have the opportunity to invest in them. Okay, here's another question. How does the chamber and the city, how do we work together to attract or retain businesses? And that's a really good question because the city's economic development department is the lead in attracting new businesses and retaining current businesses. But the chamber, we have a key role as well. And oftentimes, the city's economic development staff is 2 people. And here at the chamber, there's 6 of us. And we really can be the boots on the ground, kind of listening and hearing what's going on. Is a business going to close? Is a business going to move? Is there someone that's interested? And so we work really closely in identifying potential new uses, working with businesses that have challenges to help navigate those challenges so that they don't have to move or leave or close. As we're out and about in other communities, when I visit other states and other places, I see businesses that are existing in those places and think, oh, maybe something like that could be a use here in Vista. And we work really closely. Once we know a new business is potentially coming in or someone's interested, there's been many times where I've worked with someone who's interested in Vista and sent them listings, business buildings that I know are available, either they haven't been listed yet or for lease or for sale. Just really having a detailed hands-on knowledge about what's happening in the community really helps to facilitate those connections and send those off to the economic development director or facilitate a meeting for everybody. So really happy and proud to be involved in attracting and retaining new businesses. And part of retention means providing services. And so asking our businesses, what do you need? What would help you grow? What would help you stay? And then working together with the city and others to try to provide those services. Really proud of that work. Okay, this question that came in, I think is just for my personal opinion. And that is, what would draw me to eat out for lunch during the week at a Vista restaurant? And for me, I think that if I'm going to eat out for lunch during the week, it's a work day. I really only have an hour, so I need to be able to get in and out in an hour or so. I need a price point that makes sense for a lunch and delicious food, great service, moderately convenient. I don't necessarily need a quick or fast service, but definitely need to be able to do that in an hour. And that's my personal opinion. It's also nice when if you go to lunch with a group, and this is such a hard thing for businesses because I think there's costs associated, but it's so nice if you can split the check among different people. There's been many a times where I've gone to lunch with like 8 people and the restaurant will not split the check, and that's kind of a bummer. But we deal with it, but it would be in a perfect world, we could split the check. So one of the questions that came in was about special events in town. And of course, the Vista Chamber, we host the Strawberry Festival. We're super proud of that, and the Christmas Parade. But the question was just about maybe some other events that maybe people don't know about. And I would have to definitely say the Vista Viking Festival is incredible. If you've never been to that, you have to check it out. It's held every September at the Antique Gas and Steam Engine Museum. That's a great event. And speaking of the Antique Gas and Steam Engine Museum, they basically have something going on there every weekend, whether it's train and steam engine shows, bluegrass festivals, gem and mineral shows. There's a fiber arts festival they have. That basically the Antique Engine Antique Gas and Steam Engine Museum has something going on all the time. You could fill your calendar just with activities and events happening at that amazingly cool venue. And if you haven't been there to check it out, you don't have to go just to an event. It's actually is a museum and has some really cool items on display. You can check out their website. I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check out the Antique Gas and Steam Engine Museum. Okay, so this next question is basically what are some positive things that Vista has going for it? And I definitely think the best thing about Vista is our people in our community. People support each other. People show up for each other. We're a warm and welcoming environment. People say hello when they pass each other on the sidewalk. People check in on their neighbors. It's a really, really great place to live, to raise a family, and to enjoy all that life has to offer. On the flip side of that, if people were to ask me what our challenges are, and just from my personal opinion, there is, I think that one of our biggest threats to our community, our culture, is just political divisiveness. And that's happening at a national level, and that's impacting communities all over our country. And I think that people forget that we have more in common than we disagree on. But those disagreements oftentimes push people to be angry. And I would hate to see our Vista community overall become less warm, to become angry and more divisive. I want to live in a place where people can disagree with each other and still move forward, still make things happen, and still move forward for the good of our community and for the sake of everyone. That is probably the biggest risk to Vista, is just divisiveness. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about just a couple of things that I think people should know about. Everyone should know about NCTD Plus. NCTD Plus is a service by NCTD, and it's basically an on-demand van that will show up. There's a circle, a service area. It's kind of centered around the downtown Vista area and beyond into the neighborhoods a bit. There's an app. Download the NCTD Plus app, and you can summon a rideshare. And the cost is like $3. It can be used by anybody who has a NCTD card, like a Pronto card. And that means youth can use it. Adults can use it. It runs many hours of the day. It is probably one of the most helpful things if you need transportation or you need to get from a place to a place. I've used it even for when my son's middle school has a back to school night. There is not enough parking. Nobody can park there. There's just not enough parking. And everybody at the whole school is showing up at the same time. I take NCTD Plus for $3 and I can show up right at the school. I don't have to worry about parking, do my thing, and take NCTD Plus right back home. So I highly recommend that service. I think more people should know about it and use it. Another thing people need to know about is the Avo Playhouse. The Avo Playhouse is actually owned by the city. People don't necessarily know that. But outside groups can rent the Avo to put on different events and activities and shows. There's all kinds of fun things happening there. And there is a dedicated group of folks actively working to activate the Avo and to make it a cool hangout spot. And so if you're looking for something to do, most of the events and activities that happen there are all ages. So it's great for teens or adults, and you got to check it out. You can find more information about those events on our website, vistachamber.org. We will be posting all the activities happening at the Avo. That's definitely something that people need to know about. You may be surprised to learn that there are over 4,500 registered businesses here in the city of Vista. That's a lot of businesses, and that can range from anything from a home-based business all the way to a very large employer. So over 4,500 businesses in Vista. Who would have thought? Okay, the last question that people ask oftentimes is, how can I support local businesses? Obviously, we all have budgets and limited dollars, and you can't personally go and shop and dine and purchase from every single business in Vista. But you can choose to spend your money locally as often as possible and support as many businesses as you can, whether that means spending your actual money or leaving them a review online, sharing about them on social media. If you go somewhere and you have a great experience, tell 5 friends about how great it was. Continue to spread the word and really hype up Vista. It's on all of us to support our local businesses, which employ our local people and keep our community thriving. And so we have to absolutely support our businesses with our dollars, with our voices, with our influence, and with everything that we possibly can. So that is my last question. My last call to action is, let's support Vista and keep Vista strong. I always end every episode with rapid fire questions, and I've decided to ask myself the rapid fire questions. Why not? And so I'll start by giving you all a book recommendation, and a book that I really loved and that has really inspired me is Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. And it really talks about the importance of being a leader and how leadership comes in lots of different forms. But really the key piece of leadership is vulnerability. And that really stuck with me. And it's a book that has inspired me. It has really given me power to get through really tough times when I wasn't sure if I could lead or if I could navigate tough things. So Dare to Lead by Brené Brown is one that I highly recommend. I always ask guests for their jam, for their favorite song. And almost always people say, I have 2, or they pick an artist, or it's a really hard question to ask. And the reason I ask it is because I love music. I have really eclectic taste. I like lots of different kinds of music. I have so many artists that I love. I go to concerts often. And so I always want to know about people's music interests because I want to expand my own. But I have basically 2 songs that are I always come back to them. I never skip them when they come on my playlist. And the first is Let It Be by the Beatles. That song has really been by my side my whole life, growing up when things were hard, and I had a lot of hard things that happened in my life. Let It Be always was a soundtrack for me that kept me like hanging in. I'm also someone I worry. I overthink things. And so the reminder to let it be. I can't control everything. I can't make everything the way I want it to be. And so sometimes you have to just let it be and it will work out and everything will be okay. So that's my all-time, like lifelong, number 1 favorite song always. And then over the last several years, another song that is my favorite, which is I think technically in the country genre, which I don't typically listen to a lot of country music other than like 90s country that I grew up on in Texas. But it's a song by a group called the Highwomen. It's a super group of a bunch of different country ladies and not even country necessarily, but and it's a song called Crowded Table, and it just talks about the lyrics basically say, I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. And I really believe in having a crowded table, both in my own physical home. I want to be the place where my kids' friends are hanging out and where all my friends are hanging out and we're cooking food and we're having fun together. But I think of Vista as being a crowded table, and there's room for everyone at our crowded table. And the more people that are there, the better the experience. I love that song. I'm constantly listening to it, and it just reminds me that the people around me are what's most important. And whether that's my family, my friends, or the larger Vista community, I want them all at my table. So Crowded Table by the Highwomen. Love that song. And it will always be on repeat. The third rapid fire question I ask my guests is something that inspires them. And I am inspired by possibility. The possibility of what can be, of what we can work towards as a community, as I get inspired and excited and fired up about what's next. What can we do, continually improving both myself as a human, but also our community. And the idea and the thought that we can continue to grow and change and improve is just so inspiring to me. And it's honestly what helps me get up every day, is just what the possibilities could be. They're endless. And that to me is such an inspiration. My last one is a Vista business that deserves a shout out. And I always put people on the spot when I ask that question, because we have so many amazing businesses in Vista that deserve a shout out. I love so many of our businesses, but I am going to give a shout out to Adam Brooks at Alchemy Print. And the reason for that is Adam is someone that grew up here in Vista. He was a student here. He grew up in Vista, graduated from a Vista school, and always was very entrepreneurial, knew that he wanted to be an entrepreneur, and has started a business here. He hires local talent. He gives back to the community. He served on our board. He was our board chair. He's actually the youngest board chair we ever had, and has continued to support both the chamber's operations and our functions here, but also just gives back to the community as a small business, making promotional materials and t-shirts and things like that for people. He does a great job, great prices, and just continues to be a human that I absolutely admire. So Alchemy Print Co., that's my shout out. Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining me for this solo episode of Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. We have some more great guest episodes coming up for you. We have Aaron Gobitis from Go Be Rewarded. We have Assembly member Lori Davies coming up soon. We have Susan Arias with MAC, our nonprofit, large nonprofit of the year. Lots of great episodes coming. So hit that subscribe button and follow and tell a friend. Help us move Vista forward with velocity. So thankful to have you here and your support. Find us online at vistachamber.org.